The shadow that traded places. Elias lived in a world of 90-degree angles and lint-free surfaces. He spent his hours aligning pencils and smoothing out the wrinkles in his life. But his shadow was a traitor. It was a slouching, clumsy thing that vibrated with a nervous energy Elias couldn't control. It tripped over invisible cracks and hesitated when he wanted to be bold. "You're holding me back," Elias hissed at the wall. "You're the part of me that fails." That night, the moonlight was thick as cream, spilling through the window and turning the clay floor into a silver stage. Elias pressed his palms against the cold plaster of the wall. He didn't want the shakiness or the doubt anymore. He whispered a deal to the darkness. "Give me your stillness, and I'll give you my life." The shadow reached back, its hand peeling off the wall like a layer of gray clay being pulled from a mold. The swap was silent and sudden. The entity that stepped into the center of the room looked exactly like Elias, but he was sharpened. His posture was a steel rod, and his eyes were like polished, unblinking glass. The real Elias felt a terrifying lightness. He looked down and saw only a flat gray outline of himself stretched across the floorboards. He was no longer the master of his body. He was the observer on the wall. The new Elias was a machine of perfection. He never tripped over the rug. He never stammered or checked his reflection twice. He moved through the world with a chilling grace, his clay face frozen in a mask of calm efficiency. The real Elias trailed behind him, a silent, two-dimensional passenger clinging to the baseboards, watching his life become a series of perfectly executed, soulless movements. In the garden, a girl named Marla was waiting. She held a lopsided cake she had baked, her face bright with a hopeful smile and a smudge of flour on her nose. Usually, Elias would have laughed, his own hands trembling with the nervous joy of her company. But the new, solid Elias only stared at the uneven frosting with a cold, clinical disdain. He didn't see the love in the mess, he only saw the flaws. Marlo's smile faltered, the light in her eyes dimming as if a cloud had passed over the sun. She felt a sudden, biting wind where there should have been warmth. On the garden wall behind her, the real Elias, the shadow, reached out. He tried to mimic a hug, his gray arms stretching toward Marlo's own shadow, desperate to bridge the distance that the cold version of himself had created. Days passed in a blur of flawless, lonely achievements. The physical Elias won every prize and finished every task, but he did it without a heartbeat. He sat in his room, staring at a perfectly drawn circle, while the real Elias paced the ceiling above him. The shadow Elias realized that perfection was a tomb. Being correct was just another way of being empty. Elias realized that his stumbles, his stammers, and even his anxiety were the gaps where other people fit in. They were the things that made him human. He began to thrash against his flat prison. He forced his shadow form to trip and wobble, casting a jagged, flickering shape across the physical Elias's pristine workspace, trying to break the cold rhythm of perfection. The solid Elias looked down, his glass-cold composure finally cracking. He saw the shadow, the anxiety, the mess, the beautiful imperfection, and he realized he was just an empty shell without it. The real Elias surged from the floor, his dark edges blurring and thickening as he fought to pull himself back into the three-dimensional world, demanding his heart back. They collided in a flurry of gray and gold clay. When the dust settled, only one Elias remained. He sat on the floor, his hair messy and his shirt untucked. He looked at Marlo, who was still standing nearby with the lopsided cake, and he finally took a messy, joyful bite. He was whole, he was flawed, and as his shadow danced clumsily behind him in the sun, he knew he was finally home.